What's going on, everyone? It's Adam here, bringing you some Dark Souls 2 action. The official Dark Souls Facebook page just released the patch notes for Scholar of the First Sin just under an hour ago, and I just wanted to post a link here with all the updates. I wanted to maybe talk about a little bit of it, some really interesting things, and yeah, it's good. A lot of good things, I think. I think it'll just make the game better overall, and yeah, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. So maybe I'll just talk a little bit about them, a few of them. I won't go through all of them because there is a giant list, and a lot of them are just like bug fixes and just little things. Yeah, there's no need to really talk about them. You can just read them and be like, oh, okay, it's that, blah blah blah. All right, so let's see. Just little things like additional item description text has been changed, like they've added more to it. They promised that they would make it so a lot more of, like, the items would fit into the lore a lot better and like go along with the story, because a lot of it is it's not very clear, and it's also just kind of it's just kind of bland. A lot of the item stuff, they're just there and it's like, oh, okay, blah, whatever. So that's like one of the normal things. Let's see, added the new character, the Scholar of the First Sin, so that's pretty cool. I'll be interested in seeing what that's all about. That's actually at the very top of the list, so that's pretty cool. Choosing to enter the Covenant of Champions will now allow enemies to continue to respawn after being defeated. That's actually really sick, because you know, it just makes the game harder again. It's not something I'd really think about normally, but it's kind of weird that you can just like wipe the area of enemies. On paper it seems like it'd be a good idea, but also that it takes away from that like fear factor that Dark Souls offers, you know, like nothing's ever safe, when you can, like in Dark Souls 2, you can literally just wipe out the entire section of the game, just kill everything, they're all dead, now it's safe. Like, that's, I don't know, I don't really like that. If you would have asked me normally, like I think when I originally read about it, I thought that was a really cool idea, but after a while, I'm not really a fan of it. I really like the idea of just the enemies respawning. It's constantly going to be there, so that lets you take advantage of that. So that's pretty cool. Choosing to enter the Covenant of Champions will now cause enemies to inflict more damage on the player. I thought they originally did. I guess they didn't. I guess they just had like HP boost and damage boost or something, but I'm not quite sure on that one, to be honest. Players will gain access to the new item, the Agape Ring. Now, when players equip the new Agape Ring, souls collected from kills during online play will be absorbed by the ring rather than the player. This allows the player to control their online matchmaking experience by limiting their total souls collected. Now, this is important. This is the fix for soul memory. Now, it's not the greatest fix. Clearly, you have to use a ring slot just so you don't have to level up. That's like just so you don't have to go up into the higher bracket to play other players and stuff. Like, use a whole, like, it is just a ring slot, but still at the same time it's a little weird. But at least it is a fix. It's not like a temporary one or anything. It's the official fix that we're stuck with. So we got it. That's the fix, and you know what? It's nice to hear, because now if you want to stay at a lower level and play within that tier of players, then you're always able to. That's how you're gonna have to do it. Yeah, that's actually really good to read. It's not the greatest thing, like I said, but it's nice. So now players are gonna be able to control where they're at. They're gonna have to give up a ring slot, but at least this time around we got 4 slots to play with instead of 2. That didn't sound good. Reminds me of Beavis and Butthead, Do America, if you've seen that. Alright, increased effect of rusted coins, so that's going to be good if you're farming for items and stuff like that. That's going to be really nice. That should help a lot with the Lois Souls, for those dudes that are still trying to get the 50 Lois Souls, because that took me quite some time. Awe Stones are now dropped more often. The Bonfire Warp selection screen will now highlight the top 3 areas where players will have the best change to connect with other players online. That's a misprint. I'm very sure it should say where the players will have the best chance to connect with other players. That's awesome, actually. That's very cool. That's sick. So then you're totally gonna be able to know like where to find some really hot PvP and maybe just co-op. So that's actually great. That's a great read right there. White Phantoms will remain in other players' worlds for longer periods of time. White phantoms will no longer return to their world if time runs out during a boss battle. The players remaining in worlds for a longer period of time. Yeah, that's good. It can't be bad. Like, you'll probably, if you're a red phantom, you're just going to be sent back if you're hiding or something. So it's not really a bad thing. Players on their first playthrough can now match with players on their second or further playthrough. That's also very, very good to hear. Because now you got the agape ring, and you're going to be able to just stay within that tier anyways. So now PvP is going to be a lot more active when this comes around for both PS4, Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS3. It's going to be a lot more active because everyone on New Game Plus and onwards is going to be able to hang out with just New Game players. So a lot of people are probably going to get their shit pushed in, unfortunately, though, because those dudes that are just going to be coming into Dark Souls, maybe when Scholar comes out, they're not going to have a very good grip on things, and they're going to be dealing with these dudes that are preferring to stay in the lower tiers, that are actually very good at the game. So that's something to watch out for. These guys are going to have to get good fast, like literally. I don't like to use that term, but that's I think that's what they're going to have to do. That's cool though. The PvP is going to be a lot more active. We're going to see a lot more players. That's sweet. I really like that. Made it so invading players cannot use items which invite more enemies. I had no idea that was possible, or like even anyone used that. NPC conversation text is now displayed more prominently than online notices. Players may now choose to cancel out the effect of human effigy at bonfires. I never really used a human effigy at bonfires because I've always wanted to do PvP and stuff like that, so I don't, I've never used it. So I have no words for that really. So that's good for those people that have used that to block other players, like, yeah, that's that. When a player cannot take part in online play due to the effect of human effigy, made it so that the player can still write signs. They still cannot summon during this period though. These are just like weird little things. I've never really played around with them, so I have no input on like what it means to me. So I'm sorry about that. The imitation spell now affects normal enemies. The hush spell is now more effective on normal enemies. Load time shortened for PS3 only. That's actually good to hear. There's a lot of loading in this game, but you know what? It's never really been that bad for me. I've never really minded the load times on PS3, though. I guess they did us a bonus though, so that's sweet. Calibration is no longer saved each time before the title screen. Fixed issue causing map name listed on save data and actual map name after loading or to not match. These are, like I said, a lot of these things are like just little weird fixes. I don't really have any input on them because I've never had to deal with them, or never noticed at least. So made it possible to skip the ending I planned on just like talking like about a few of them, but I'm just going through the whole list now, as you can tell, so excuse me if you didn't want to hear the whole thing. I'm just gonna go through this whole list and we'll just get through it. I'll zip through it and we'll just talk about it. Made it possible to skip the ending sequence the second time through and beyond. That's good. It's not the worst thing ever, but if you're just rushing through, maybe you want to get to New Game Plus 9 to use the Nil Greatsword or whatever, the giant Mirakumo weapon, then yeah, that'll be good for that. Remove and I guess for speedrunners too, because usually they count when the credits start rolling. So alright, remove the blur effect when you're looking through binoculars. Never really noticed. Rouge water, a fixed issue causing the user not to recover spell usages for spells only able to be used once. These are like little things I had no clue on. So made old Iron King's crown effect function consistently throughout the game. Adjusted price for Crown of the Ivory King, Ivory King's armor, Ivory King gauntlets, Ivory King leggings. So it just says adjusted, so I don't know if it's going to be cheaper. Probably cheaper. Maybe more expensive. Might be, you know, it is like endgame armor, so should be maybe more expensive. Fixed issue whereby the sign in the Iron Keep was not displayed as intended once the player spoke to Lucatiel of Marah in Harvest Valley. Corrected issue whereby users could not use bonfire ascetics at Undead Crypt entrance bonfire. Adjusted timing for Lycia of Lindel to become the player's enemy. Adjusted conditions for lighting Majula map from defeat Nishandra to defeat Throne Defender and Throne Watcher. To prevent invasion after defeating area bosses, made the human effigy effect function in this situation automatically. Again, I have no input on a lot of this stuff, guys, so I apologize if this is like something that's like really hits home for you, but a lot of this stuff I just never noticed or whatever. Made it possible to get the reward items after defeating area bosses even if your inventory is full at the time. Items will drop in front of player. Who has like full like boss souls or I guess, geez, like I don't know. So who would need this? Like, alright, made it possible to get reward items after using Crushed Eye Orb and defeating Lycia of Lindelt, even if your inventory is full at the time. Items will drop in front of the player. In Black Gulch, made it possible to receive Forgotten Key after defeating a giant when the player has 99 souls of a giant. Who has 99 souls of a giant? Like, God, I don't understand how this is even like realistic, but I guess obviously, I guess maybe there's like runs or like challenges. I don't know. In Grand Cathedral, made it possible to still receive the item you are supposed to get when talking to Alsana, Silent Oracle, even if your inventory is full. At ending, if the player has fulfilled the conditions to receive Illusionary Ring of the Conqueror and Illusionary Ring of the Exalted, but their inventory is full, made it possible to receive the rings properly. Players will receive the rings as soon as space is opened in their inventory, and they have adjusted rewards in online play. So normal play, host vanquishes invading Dark Phantom or Arbiter Spirit. You get a human effigy. This is pretty cool stuff, because usually you're just like, hey, you get some souls, whoopty shit. I've never really thought about getting an item for it, but this is actually going to be really sick when I go through on PS4. So this is nice. Host vanquishes a Dark Phantom summoned through Red Sign. Human effigy. Host vanquishes invading Grey Spirit like a Bellkeeper. One of the following: Titanite Chunk, Titanite Slab, Twinkling Titanite, Petrified Dragon Bone. Vanquish host, you invade at the Covenant Rat King area. Added Smooth and Silky Stone in addition to Pharos Lockstone, so you get a little extra. That's really cool. Covenant Blue Sentinels. Vanquish Dark Phantom when summoned as help by a Way of Blue host. Devotion to Covenant +1. I guess maybe it was smaller before. I'm not really sure on that. Covenant Rat King. Vanquish client summoned to Rat King area. Added Smooth and Silky Stone in addition to Pharos Lockstone. Covenant Bellkeeper. Vanquish host when invading as a Grey Phantom. One of the following: Titanite Chunk, Titanite Slab, Titanite Twinkling Titanite, and Petrified Dragon Bone. Covenant Pilgrims of the Dark. Host vanquishes Abyss Spirit in Dark Chasm of the Old. Added human effigy to Bonfire Ascetic. So that's sick. When invading, or Covenant Brotherhood of Blood. This is actually really good. I like to hear this right here. When invading, vanquish Blue Sentinel summoned as help. Devotion to Covenant +2. That's kick-ass. Like these pluses for this is really good because getting like 500 kills in the arena and that shit, like that's retarded. Okay, that's really dumb. I'm not a fan of that. Like that's so much, like, people have a life outside of this game. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to put all the notes in the description as long as I can fit it. And if I can't, then I'll just put a link. I hope to see you around the channel. Stay honorable.